Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So in this video we would be understanding about the validation rules. So what are validation rules? Basically validation rule helps us to stay within our limits. Like for example, here I am putting a date and saving this record. So it is saying that you cannot have a date less than today. Okay, so we are to put a date that is today or greater than today. And if someone tries to put a negative salary by mistake, or that can be anything, so it should say that salary cannot be negative. And for the case of increment, that what should be the increment, so it cannot be 0, it should be between your 2 and 10. Okay, so in this way we can create validation rules, and we can even make use of formula fields. So how this came is through the salary and increment. We created a formula over these two fields, and thereafter we got this as a result. Okay, if we have salary as, see anyone having 2 rupees per, so see your increment, salary after increment is this much. So this is how your formula fields work, as well as your validation rules. So in this video we are going to understand both of the things. So let's get started with the video. So guys, for this purpose I am having my custom object, and over that I am having these fields for that matter. So if you want, you can have it in un standard objects, like in, you can put these fields in accounts and contacts as well. But yeah, it is better to practice in different objects. So that's why I have created a custom object for this. So I would be having some validation rules over this. So first validation rule we are to apply, that is on our date, that our date should not be less than today. So what we will do is we would go to that object, and in the validation rule in the last part, what we would do is we would enter our rule. And before entering our rule, first I want to explain you some basic concepts of validation rules. So guys, when working with validation rules, you need to keep one thing in mind, that is, when your validation rule turns to true, okay, when it is true, so what you would get is you would get an error, because the conditions that you have specified in that validation rules are true, and therefore you get an error. Say for example, if someone enters a date less than today, and we are checking that if it is true, so give an error. So validation rule works in that way, that when it is true, you would get an error. Okay, and when that validation rule turns to false, your record gets saved to the database. So what am I saying is pretty confusing to understand, but let me show you with an example. Say for example, we are to edit or we are to write a validation rule for our date. Okay, so date cannot be less than today. I have given this a rule name, and in this I am inserting a field from my custom object, that is my date. I have created a date field, and I hope that those who are watching this, they know how to create these fields, and if you don't know, you could check out our previous videos as well. So in date is less than C is less than, and in here you would get a function of today. It returns the current date, and if date is less than today, so what is happened here is, if we open our paint, and this is our case scenario that we have to cover, that if our date is less than today. Okay, and if someone tries to add or tries to put a date less than today, then what should it do is, it should give an error. So simple, what we did is we put date is less than today, and for his you could also check for any syntax error that might be possible. And in this you can add an error message that what should be displayed. So you can show that date cannot be less than today. Okay, and where do you want to have this error? This is the error location, in the top of the page or in the field. So it is showing the fields that we are currently having. So I want in the date section, and I am saving this record. And now what am I doing is I am adding a date less than today. So it is giving me error. Review the following fields, date, and in this our error message is date cannot be less than today. Okay, so we did this part. For the salary part is that we do not want a negative salary, so we would be creating another field. So another validation rule that I must say. So for salary, and what I want is I want to have a field that is my salary. I have created this field, and if it is less than 0, so I want an error. If my salary is less than 0, I want an error. So that my salary cannot be less than 0, and for this also I want it in my field salary. So this is created. Now if I put a salary as -2, see, it is throwing an error. First check, we have to validate for date. Thereafter it would throw an error for salary, because first it is getting date, so it is not coming after that. It has stopped the execution at date only, so that's why it was not showing the error for salary. So now we have added a salary that it cannot be less than 0, and if we add a salary greater than 2, so it would add this. Now we want increment as well. So if someone thinks that I have created this, no, see, I have not get any increment and salary after increment. This is the formula field that we would be understanding in a bit. So for increment, uh, go to your object manager. In the validation rules, from the validation rules, click new. Now for increment, okay, and what you want is you want your field of increment, and you want this field to be between 2 and 10. Okay, so what you would do is you have to make use of some operators. See, like you have understood about and or operators. So what does your or operator do is it checks that if any condition is true, then it runs the condition. So if now what you want is you want only to have values between 2 and 10. Okay, so if your increment value is less than 2, or your increment value is greater than 10, okay, throw an error that is increment value should be between 2 and 10. Saving the result, going back, adding a value 33. See, we got error between 2 and 10. If we add 10, it is saying increment value should be between 2 and 10. Add 5, it is added. And now what have I done for this? salary after increment. How am I calculating this? So I hope your visualization for validation rule has been successful. So thereafter, now I would be telling you about the formula field. So guys, for this purpose, I have created a formula field, and what have I done is I would be showing you salary after increment. See, this is my formula field, and I click over it is, and if I edit this, so what I did is I did not did any rocket science. See, I would be removing this, and what I want is I want to add my salary with my increment. So what I did is I took a bracket and inserted my field of salary, and salary multiply by increment. Okay, divide by 100, and plus what I did is added with my salary. Salary is equal to salary plus salary after increment is calculated by this. For this you can also check your syntax, no errors, and if you save, okay, so thereafter you are getting this value. See, now if you do is 9, it would be 97. So this is the way how your validation rules works and how your formula field works. So I hope you got a visualization uh, of how you could work around with these fields. And after watching this video also you have some doubts that how and when to use some these types of things, you could comment down below. I would be happy to solve your doubts. So thanks a lot guys, and if you do like our videos, do support us by subscribing to our channel.